Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning, Anna, my new friend, a connection from Christie Comstock. I'm very happy and excited to have Anna with me. Two things about Anna I know. She is a proud owner of a digital agency. It's a B Corporation. Her goal is to work with companies who made important impact to their company and to the community. The second exciting thing I want to do a shout out is she is really hot. She is named and received the award from Portland Business Journal, CEO of the Year. So congratulations, Anna.
Thank you, Alice. It's really an honor to be here, and I'm so thrilled. And just a big thank you to Christie for introducing us. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Beautiful. So Anna, our audience is waiting to hear about you. Would you introduce yourself and your company and anything you want to share with us?
Sure. So my name is Anna Madill. I'm the founder and CEO of Avenue, and we are, as Alice mentioned, a B Corp digital and social media agency based here in Portland. And so essentially B Corps are companies that focus on people, planet, and profit. So it's built into our mission, our operations, keeping in mind not just running a sustainable, profitable business, but also making sure that we are giving back to our community, creating an amazing workplace to support and empower our team members, as well as being focused outwardly on environmental sustainability as well. And so we are very much committed to our community work and creating a really great workplace for our team members.
Our community is really happy to have you with us. So here we are. Question number one, what's your value of money, since we are on the Woman Million Dollar conversation?
Yes, it's such a great question and kind of a big question. I know you, in preparing for this, you mentioned, what is your first experience with money when going back to childhood? And I really did reflect on that and just thinking about, I had a really wonderful childhood, but money was not in extreme abundance. I'll just put it that way. And so I think my first experience actually with money was when I needed to quit gymnastics because we could no longer afford to pay for the classes. And that was a moment where something that I really enjoyed as a kid, and I still do enjoy following gymnastics, but it was just one of those things that I no longer was able to do. It was that moment that clicked of, okay, so there's a give and a take, and you can have certain things when you pay for them. And I just remember carrying through into the rest of my life, I think just a thought around that things have value and that not everyone has the same resources with which to acquire said things. And when I think about the value of money to me, I think the first part would be, first of all, security. I think money really signified security, not having to worry about, housing and any of the other sort of things in life. But now I think as Avenue has grown, and from the very bottom, we've had very good years and challenging years. And then we've been on a really great trajectory over the last 5+ years, is that now money to me is time. And so I've realized that time is a finite resource. I only have so much time in my day and so much energy with which to give to community, my family, my friends, and to my business. And so money actually can translate into being able to hire experts and resources to support so that I now have more abundance of time.
Yes, time is probably the one limited asset. When we use it, it won't be replenished. So beautifully said, money buys time, so that you're relieved to do the things that you feel that is most meaningful and most impactful to your family, to your loved ones, and your community.
Yes.
Great job, Anna. Love that answer. Second question is about the $1 million. Of course, we are here. How long does it take you to get to that million?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think we can focus on the $1 million in revenue. So that was definitely a milestone for Avenue. I think on the personal sort of wealth side, it's a whole nother journey, and one that sort of actually was starting to be built from college graduation. And there's a lot of things that go into that, the first home purchase and then building from there. But I will really focus on the crossing the $1 million threshold for Avenue. And that was a 6.5-year journey for us to get there. And I think many companies would actually get there much more quickly than Avenue did. And so when I look back at that, I really think that I can appreciate the journey with which it took to get to that $1 million threshold, because I learned so many skills. I was able to build a really sustainable business that is focused on employee well-being, our culture, our values, the work that we put out into the world for our clients, and also our community work.
How did it make you feel when you look at your numbers? Like being business owners, one of the things we look is the numbers, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how does it make you feel? And what did you do? Did you smell the roses? Oh no, we got to look at 2 million now.
It's a little bit of both. I think that as we were approaching that threshold, I talked to many business owners and colleagues who had said, once I crossed that threshold, I thought we were going to celebrate and it was going to be this huge thing. And then it was really just on to the next thing. There's still all the same problems or the same goals that were happening, and you just moved on. So I think what we did really nicely at Avenue is we did really take a pause to celebrate it. And it was a moment where I felt incredibly proud, and not just of myself. I think I feel a lot more pride for my team and what they really, truly helped me to accomplish and helped Avenue to accomplish. And at the same time, all of our clients that we are impacting, building relationships with, and also the work that we're doing in the community and elsewhere. So I think a lot of pride, and we were able to take a little bit of a pause to celebrate together as a team and really recognize that being a milestone, given many of the challenges and barriers that we've faced over the years. And then, of course, I'm very driven and goal-oriented. So, there is the additional, let's keep building. And there's a lot of things beyond we're going to grow in revenue and profitability, but also impact. So I think as a certified B Corporation, profit, revenue, and then impact go hand in hand.
Very good answer. Pause and celebrate and on to the next goal, but make sure that the team notices that they are part of the success journey.
Yes, very much.
Very good. So on your journey in building to that $1 million of revenue, I'm sure there are a lot of biases you have dealt with. And what is the biggest bias you have come across, and how did you overcome it?
So it's probably a couple, but I think I'll sum it up as being a woman, being Asian, and looking relatively young. I think what's interesting, and I'll share this here, is that for the majority of my career, and even to this day, I feel like there's a certain way that I need to show up and present to be taken seriously. And that really hasn't changed. Whether we were at 250,000, 1.4, 1.5, past that $1 million mark, I think that it's being looked at and having assumptions made based on outward appearance. So for example, even throughout my career before Avenue, I think if you look at me, I look relatively young, and that is hereditary. That comes along with being Asian, being a woman, being slight in stature, and often being assumed to have less experience.
Oh, yes.
And agencies who might do similar services at Avenue, but the youth project some sort of lack of credibility or experience. And so I think that was one of them. Throughout my career, I think the other bias would be the woman and the Asian trying to fit into that stereotype of whether it's the model minority myth of a great worker bee, but not really leadership material, but also trying to strike that fine balance of being driven and very much like yourself, I think, Alice, upwardly driven, but also doing it in a way that comes across as positive versus there's many things that if there's a woman and she's Asian and she's striving, she's bossy, and trying to really strike that fine line between being on that leadership track while also dodging and weaving through those biases.
There's always biases. And one of the things that I think are hand in hand with the external bias is our internal bias, because we feel people perceive us that way in small part. It could be perceived because Asian, we technically look younger than our age. Thank you, God, for giving us the best skin. You're right, because Asian are perceived also as a worker bee and may not be perceived as in the leadership role. So how can we change that? So I am going to share a very short story. Yesterday, post from a Filipino background friend that I have at LinkedIn. And she said she went into a baker's show, really commercial baker, and she wasn't taken seriously. So she pushed back at the booth when she was not taken seriously. Come to find out that those two people just started their business. They didn't know what to do. And now the conversation turned. They are looking for advice from this very experienced commercial baker who's walking around a commercial exhibition looking for new things or things for her to be excited or to buy.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Okay, on to the next question. What process did you take if you have a big decision to make?
Yeah. So another big question. I think the biggest thing is I really like to bring it back to a couple of different things. One is values, and two is the perceived outcome. And so I tend to think that I make decisions really quickly. And I think that's my quick start nature. I like to move fast. I like to take in information, make a decision, and move forward. In some cases, there are larger decisions that just need a little bit more thought process behind them. And in those cases, I think, part of it, it's always the gut sense. I think we have to trust our gut to some degree. I love to leverage as many data points of information that I have to make that decision, calibrate that. And then also from a value standpoint is if the decision is Avenue related, which they usually are, is how does this help Avenue show up leading with our values and making sure that we are true to who we are. And so oftentimes just looking at our core values and our mission for what we want to put out into the world can help me understand which decision is the right way to go or not.
Is that aligned with the values and the direction and the future that you and your team have decided? And then you will make that decision. Beautiful. Okay, a slightly turn. In the last 7 years, when you have owned your business, you probably have some point of time where sometimes life becomes very difficult. And I'm not sure if you hit a point where it's, God, it's so difficult. I want to quit. But what kept you going?
There was a turning point about year 2 in Avenue. I did a whole EO talk on this, but it was a turning point where I made a lot of mistakes as a business owner. I read the landscape incorrectly, and we just were cratering essentially in terms of revenue, profitability. And there was a turning point where I was literally cleaning up my resume and wondering if I should go back and get a real job, and thinking to myself, hey, I'm still employable, right? It's only been like a year and a half or something like that. And so there's a very clear point where things were not working well. And I think that was the lowest moment for Avenue, as well as me personally. I think in the last 15 years, I think that is like the lowest point that I can remember in my life. And I think the other part of the question was what kept me going. And it really was the future. In the deepest, darkest pit, I think in order to make it go away for at least a short amount of time, I would envision like, oh my gosh, what does the future look like? If this weren't happening, if this weren't real, what is the scenario that actually is real, even though it wasn't at the time? And so I've since learned that I have through StrengthsFinder, that I have the futuristic strength as my top strength. So it's really looking into the future, envisioning things. And it was that I actually call it daydreaming, where I would look into the future and daydream about what I imagined or what I wanted. And I would create this momentary world of what Avenue was successful when we weren't successful at the time. And those small moments of hope and inspiration helped keep me going. And I think also kept me in line with a North Star of thinking, okay, I see that vision. I can clearly see it. And I have a really hard decision to make today because we're in like this deep, dark pit, but that would help me make one good decision that day that would put us on this path. And it was those little small right decisions, a few wrong decisions, of course, that helped put us on a really strong upward trajectory.
Very good. So futuristic personality. So look into the future and then maybe strategize how you're going to get there. And of course, you might hire the right people on your bus so they can take care of the things that actually Anna may not want to do or don't care about doing.
Or not as good at. Team members are better at things than I am. Yeah. So we have an amazing team.
Great. So we're winding down to the last two questions. If there is one very good advice or very bad advice that has impact you the most, what would you tell our audience?
Yeah. So it was about year 2-ish with Avenue. Things were not going well. And I started looking around, and when things are not going well and things are going downhill, it's very easy to think, oh my goodness, someone did this to me, and have more of a victim mindset of, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? But my husband said to me, and I think another really close friend of his actually told him, but it was, imagine that the world is actually at this moment conspiring to help you succeed. So even though everything feels like it's failing and the world is not aligning to my goals or my needs, what if it was? And so it was an amazing piece of motivation and advice that was given to me that allowed me to see my situation in a more positive light, and to look at opportunities that might have first presented as big obstacles or big challenges, but as opportunities to move forward. And we did. So I always look back at that.
I am so grateful that you share this small story, but big impact is the victim or victor mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in the same zone. You're still in the same picture at the same place, but how do you look at it? You have hope, or you just licking your wounds and say, everybody did it to me. Great answer. Thank you. Piece of good advice for a woman who's watching this. If they want to be an Anna, what is one piece of good advice?
Such a great question. I really believe that if you want something or have a goal, just take a moment to close your eyes and just sit back for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and just imagine and envision what that success or what that goal is and what it means to you. So it might be a promotion or a raise. It could be getting a dog or buying your first house or something like that. But whatever it is, just take a moment to envision what that future state looks like and paint that. What does it look like when you walk in the door and you're getting that promotion? What does it feel like? And for me, that has been able to help me solidify the vision and the goal that I can then start working towards.
Beautiful, Anna, once again. So envision the future. The clearer you can see it, or you imply you believe in it, and the universe actually is going to help you to get there.
Yes.
Even with the obstacles that it flung at you. Last question, what are you grateful for?
Gosh, so many things. And I love that question. So I am grateful for my husband and my son, Ian. Ian just turned 3 2 weeks ago, and they really keep me going. And I'm just so grateful and so lucky to have so much support from my husband, Cameron, and just so much love. And so that is something that I am very grateful for.
Thank you so much, Anna. And to contact Anna, we have information in the post for you guys.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a pleasure to speak with you, and I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation.